Hi, I'm Lydia Gilman, host of the Stepping into Purpose podcast, and I'm obsessed with helping people overcome fear and resistance and step into their power and shine their light. We are all here for a big reason, and when we follow that call to live our most authentic life, we are not only fulfilling our own highest purpose, but inspiring others to do the same. This is what will truly change the world for the better. Every week, I'll drop a new episode sharing stories and conversations I've had with inspiring people who have followed their calling and are living the life their soul intended. Welcome to the Stepping into Purpose podcast. Hi, and welcome to the Step into Purpose podcast. In this episode, I had the great pleasure of meeting Brenda Winkle, a coach and healer that helps highly sensitive people, overachievers, perfectionists, people pleasers, and empaths to set boundaries, protect their energy, and heal their nervous systems. As a highly sensitive person myself, who ticks quite a few of those other boxes as well, this conversation was right up my alley. And Brenda shared some super useful exercises to help with anxiety and energy protection. I invite you to do them with us as you listen. I was really amazed how effective they were. Enjoy, and I hope you get as much out of this conversation as I did. Hi, Brenda. Welcome to the Stepping into Purpose podcast. I'm so excited that you're here.
Hi, Lydia. Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Tell us, first of all, the sort of work you're doing now, because you've got an amazing story and you've got a beautiful podcast as well. Waves of Joy podcast. And that name just melts my soul.
Oh, thank you. Well, my name is Brenda Winkle, and I spent 26 years in the music classroom. I have a master's degree in educational leadership, but that's not what I do now. What I do now is I'm a trauma-informed breathwork facilitator, a trauma-informed Reiki master, an advanced theta healing practitioner. All of those are kinds of energy healing. And what I do is help people. I support a few different kinds of people. I support highly sensitive people, empaths, people pleasers, perfectionists, and overachievers, helping them to heal their nervous systems, set boundaries, and learn to manage, protect, and preserve their energy. And so, yeah, it's really fun work and incredibly rewarding.
And so needed. It's interesting because I was just recording a solo episode yesterday about how anxiety, I think, has been the main blocker of what's helped me step into my sort of full aligned life. For so much of my life, I was really held back by anxiety. And it's amazing. I wish someone like you had been around when I was growing up, because I was a highly anxious child and very sensitive child. And back in the 70s and 80s, these terms weren't really thrown around or recognized at all, and I just thought I was a bit of an odd kid who worried all the time, and just my blood would run cold if my parents were late, or I just thought the worst, that something terrible had happened. Like I was sort of geared that something bad was going to happen. And I realized now that I was sort of traumatized because my parents had had a serious car accident before I was born, and they told me about it. But my young brain had no rationale that wasn't going to happen again. So if they're ever late or something, I just thought, they did. So, yeah, it's so great that children and adults have this sort of work in the world, and it's so recognized, because so many of us are like that.
Oh, it's true. In fact, you were saying in the 70s and 80s, we didn't have terms like this. And it's true, because the term highly sensitive came from a scientific study, a neurology study in 1997. And there were some scientists that were studying brains, and they noticed that 20% of the population has more neuroreceptors and neurotransmitters than the other 80%. And it boiled down into a sensory sensitivity. And that became coined as highly sensitive. So you're right. The term did not exist when you and I were growing up.
That's
And it's
amazing. 97. I mean, I was in my 20s, it's incredible, isn't it?
It is. And you know what? I didn't hear about that study until I started to dig into some research within the last 12 months. And so that research, while it's there, it's interesting. It's in the hard sciences, which that's so valuable. We love the hard sciences. But in the work that I'm doing in the somatic healing, there wasn't a crossover. And there is a direct crossover, because being highly sensitive for many of us feels like a liability.
Yeah.
And when we understand that it's actually our brains have more capacity for sensory information, including emotionality and picking up emotions of other people, then we can turn it into our superpowers.
And it really is superpower. And I mean, that just blows my mind that it's 20%, 1 in 5 are highly
1 in
sensitive.
5.
Wow. And
Yeah.
does that include autism? Is that highly sensitive taken all those sort of terms as well?
I love that you've asked this question. So sensory processing disorder is often linked with types of autism. This is not a disorder. This is not something that you could be diagnosed with if you went to the doctor, because the only way they can measure this is through a brain scan. But there are some markers. There are 12 markers that I've discovered in my own research working with clients for the last 8 years, that there are certain things that people who are highly sensitive have in common. For example, one sense might be heightened. So that might mean that somebody has a really fine palate and they taste things, and there may be one whole flavor profile that's off the table for that person. Like maybe they hate spicy things, or maybe they love a certain kind of thing. Some people are sensitive to textures. So a food might taste good, but if the texture doesn't sit well with the person, the food is inedible. Other people have sensitivities to temperatures, where one temperature extreme or the other will cause a whole nervous system shutdown, where it's just too much for the nervous system to take. And all highly sensitive people are more prone to the emotional responses in the facial expressions of their loved ones, and they can pick up on those in a way that the other 80% of the people cannot. And then there's another subset of highly sensitive people that is studied to be empaths, and that means that they actually experience emotions inside their own body. But it's important to differentiate that being highly sensitive is not a diagnosis. It's not the same thing as autism. It's not the same thing as being on the spectrum. It's not a disorder, if that makes sense. It's just a way of brain. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Thank you so much for explaining that. I am a highly sensitive person, and I hadn't really recognized fully that I was. I knew I was sensitive and I was an empath, and I still am. As a child, it's very confusing. I'd just sort of say, oh, if my family is happy, I'm happy, but I'd really get miserable if anyone in my family was miserable. I'd take that on and I'd be completely miserable, and I see it creeping in even as an adult as well. I do take on that energy, and it feels a bit like a liability, doesn't it?
It certainly can. Absolutely. Yeah. And so as young children, most of us walk into a room and we see the lowest emotional vibration person in the room, and they're the ones that are causing us pain. So we go to them to try to get their vibrational, like their emotions up higher. And so we end up falling into roles of people pleasing and overachieving because it makes us feel better.
Oh, that's fascinating, isn't it? This is a whole new approach. I hadn't really looked at it from this angle, because it's that people pleasing. Yeah. And I think women fall so much into that 100%. And we're kind of trained for that in some ways, but it's interesting that it's from that perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that I teach people, if you're interested, is a way that you can be aware of emotions in the room without wearing them on your body like a cape.
Yes.
And so, if you think of your spinal column, that goes from the top of your head to the base of your spine, if you think of that as your central channel, and you just really put all of your energy into your own central channel, take some breaths, get centered. you can start to feel just a little distance between you and the other person.
Mm.
And that space is often enough where you can separate, oh, here's what's mine, here's what's yours.
Yeah.
And then in case of an emergency, and we all have those emergencies where there's somebody that comes at us with really escalated emotions, then you can do what I call zip up. And so that would be make a zipping motion, like going from the base of your torso up over the top of your head, and do that 3 times. And then that really closes up that energetic electromagnetic field, and it creates another buffer between you and the person that might have the escalated emotions.
Oh, that is brilliant. Wow, I'm definitely adding those two to my toolbox because I find, yeah, I do slip into it. And, my sort of tool is just to, close my eyes and go within, I suppose, and just sort of tap into that self. Like it's similar to what you're talking about, but I like that way of just thinking of it more like that, zipping up your own, closing off really. And I talk about protection shields to people as well, because I see people who just are wide open and they just are bumped around by other people's energies, and especially if there's some really toxic people. Like one person has a terrible relationship with her daughter, who's an adult daughter who's very narcissistic and really is quite abusive to this mother. And I'm always saying, just protect yourself, just you need some sort of protection. And she's a lovely empathic woman, the mother, but you really have to have that protection, and that's difficult when it's your own daughter. I guess that's where the lines get blurred.
For sure. And that's where boundaries come in for the people that I work with, because that for people that are highly sensitive, if there's a sweet spot, it's where you're talking about, where you can be aware of someone's feelings, but not take them on. For some people that are wide open, they either feel like they're getting bumped around all the time, or they learn to shut down and they don't feel anything, and they just go through their lives numb.
It's so sad. And this is such important work and tools to teach to children, I think. Do you know of any of this sort of work being done in schools? Because I think that's so essential.
There is good work that's happening in schools, especially with counseling programs.
Yeah.
I don't know that they name it necessarily as highly sensitive, but they're creating support, but it is lacking. And I wanted to circle back to something you talked about, which was anxiety.
Yeah.
If that's okay.
Yeah.
So anxiety is a nervous system response. So your nervous system, you are your nervous system. When your nervous system is fully functioning, your vagus nerve is online and it's doing all of the autonomic systems like your heartbeat, managing your organs, managing your hormones. When you get stressed, your vagus nerve turns off, and all of the energy from the top part of your brain goes into the brain stem, which is known as the reptilian brain because its sole purpose is survival.
Yeah.
And when that happens, you have a cascade of hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, creating the stress response of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Fawn being people pleasing. It's actually a stress response. And so anxiety can trigger that stress response. So knowing that the vagus nerve in the nervous system is offline when we're stressed, we want to bring it back online, because that's when we're in that calm state, homeostasis, rest and digest, whatever you want to call it. So there's some cool ways that you can bring it back online. Do you want to practice? Do you want to try?
I'd love to. Oh my gosh, where have you been my whole life? This is amazing.
So the science is, there's 2 things I'm going to teach you. You can use them independently, or for a power packed vagus nerve reset, you can put them together. So when you breathe, your heart is responding to your breath, and your heart and all of your body systems are responding to the pace of your breath and the length of your inhales and exhales. So if you can intentionally make your exhales longer than your inhales, you're telling your heart that it's safe to slow down. And when that happens, it creates a lengthening of the actual heart muscle as it starts to slow. And then it brings online some more of the vagus nerves. So if we practiced it And you can do it in counts, or you can just do it organically, like what feels right for you. Like I'm going to change my sound. You can hear this. So you might hear. You could do just a couple of those. I did in through the nose and out through the mouth. Yeah, it feels so soothing. And if you do just 4 or 8 or 10 of those, it's just an immediate calming response. And if you are really amped up, and let's face it, sometimes we get really amped up. We might have like anger energy on top of anxiety. And in that case, sometimes it's nice to count because it feels like we're doing something. So you could count an inhale to 4 and an exhale to 8. So you might breathe in for 4, 3, 2, 1 out for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then you could repeat that 3, 4, 10 times.
Wow, thank you so much for explaining that, because so often I have been led through exercises, that make your exhale longer, but I never understood why. And it makes all the difference to understand why, doesn't it? And it's telling your heart that it's safe to slow down. We have the time to breathe properly. We're not running away from the saber-toothed tiger. It's okay. We can relax. That's brilliant.
It's so impactful. And it's always with you. It's in your backpack of tools. Yeah. And you can do this if you're in the bathroom by yourself, if you're walking down the hall, if you're in the supermarket, and you can just calm yourself down. Yes. It's really that 2-minute mark that you'll notice big effects hormonally, where if you're truly in an escalated or an activated response, in about 2 minutes of slowing your breath, you'll be like, oh, okay, I got it.
And that's true. You really do feel the difference. But yeah, knowing why, I think for me, that makes all the difference, actually. Isn't it funny how, people say take deep breaths, but it's scientific. There's a scientific reason. And knowing that is really empowering. It's so good. It's so simple, isn't it? And it's always with us, but it's just knowing how to use it.
You. Yes, yes. And so I have one more thing that we can do that's a somatic practice, somatic being of the body.
Yeah.
So all of our body systems are connected through our nervous system. And when we're in stress, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, we're in that reptilian brain, the brain stem. We want to get ourselves back up into thinking brain at the top of our head. That's where we can make decisions. That's where we can make rational choices and things like that. That's also why it's hard to make good decisions if you're escalated or activated. Yeah. So if we cross the right and left hand, we're crossing the right and left brain meridian.
Oh.
And so if you just go there for a second, it just is a snap and it won't stay there. But if we create a place for our hands to rest where they're crossed, we can bring that energy and attention up to the top of our head, back into our thinking brain. So I taught little kids for a long time. So I'm going to teach it to you in a few little steps, but I promise you, you'll never forget it once you learn it.
Yes.
So it's 2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
And then 2 thumbs down. Open your hands. So now the flat hands are facing the walls and the backs of your hands are facing each other.
Yeah.
Cross your hands. So now the palms are facing each other.
Yeah.
Hold your hands. Now I've interlaced my fingers.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to bring them up in front of my heart.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And this is just instantly soothing for me. Does it feel instantly soothing for you?
It does. It's like you're giving yourself a hug because you're pulling yourself into your heart. Yeah.
Exactly. It's called the heart hug.
Oh, that's beautiful. So
it
simple.
Feels so good. And it makes a huge impact. So now if you sit here in this position, you will eventually bring your attention back up into the right and left brain hemispheres. And if you add the breath to it, it's so impactful. Do you want to try it?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay. So I'm going to turn my sound so you can hear the breathing, and we'll just breathe some inhales and exhales together. I'm going to go in through my nose and out through my mouth. Do you feel ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. How are you feeling?
Oh, I feel amazing.
Isn't that
That's what I
cool?
need. It's morning here. I've just got my kids off to school and that morning rush, and that's just what I needed just to center. That's beautiful. And what a simple thing to do. You can easily do that if you're on the bus or something like that,
Mhm.
for kids, teenagers. I'm thinking of my daughter going to school. No one would know, you're just sitting there and yeah, taking some time. Because I know for children and teenagers, my daughter's just started high school this year. And it's a lot, even to where you're
Mhm.
sitting on the bus and what people are going to think when you're walking down the aisle, just, for a half-hour bus ride even to school. It just starts there. And there's so much, isn't there? So I'm really quite passionate about teaching it, getting these skills and these tools out to children so that they know that it's normal and it's actually a superpower to be highly sensitive. It is a superpower because, well, what is it? Spider-Man. He's got that spidey sense. It is like superhero status, isn't it? That you've
It
got
is.
extra sensitive senses.
It is. And you can use these with kids of all ages. And teenage kids are going to mock you the first time you try it with them. I mean, they're going to, but
Yeah.
they'll only mock you the first time because the second time they'll be like, oh, this actually feels pretty good.
Yeah.
And I will name that if you have children younger than 5, developmentally, they can't cross the right and left brain meridian. And so
Ah.
their arms will not probably cross until around the age of 5. Now, all kids are different. And so some kids might be sooner, some kids might be later, but I wanted to name that. So if you've got a small child younger than 5, they can just clasp their hands.
Uh-huh. Isn't that interesting? Well, thank you for that, because I think even for very young children, when they get wound up and, in that real tantrumy sort of mindset, they're out of control. They're gone. So just being with them and having skills to offer them, it would be hugely useful, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't have those skills, but I'd just sort of be there with them and sit beside them and just let them get it out, and it's quite amazing how it's just like a ball of energy. And once it's out, but they have to go through that, don't they?
They
Um,
do.
to get it
They
out.
do. So I have a question for you. How do
Mm.
you typically deal with anxiety?
Well, I think one big thing which really made a difference for me was when I learned about from Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's book that love and fear can't coexist. That really made a huge impact on me, and that you can't feel both at the same time. So really what I tend to do is like what you're saying, but I'll just go within, I'll close my eyes and I'll center on that universal self rather than the small ego self. But there's so
Mm.
much more to it, isn't there? Because it's, scientific, the reptilian brain and stuff. But my basic non-scientific brain just goes within and gets out of that ego sense of Lydia and this human body getting stressed out about some little thing which doesn't matter in the scheme of things, and just tapping into that big universal self, which is where
Mm.
we're limitless.
Yes.
So that's really my tool, but I love your teachings, and especially for, our teenagers. And a lot of people too really like that scientific understanding. And it's helpful to me too to actually know why we're breathing. Why is the exhale longer than the inhale? That's made a
Mhm.
huge difference to me. So
Awesome. You're
yeah.
so intuitive. You just knew that calming and making a conscious choice to be still. That's so cool.
But it's taken me a long time. I mean, I'm close to 50 and I've been anxious my whole life, and I was a real warrior as a child and even in my earlier adult years as well. And I heard one day, I can't even remember where it came from, but I just heard that worrying is wishing for what you don't want. And that
Mhm.
cured me almost instantly. I was like, why would I focus and wish for something I don't want? Just focus on what you
Yeah,
do want and let go of that. Because most of the time, what you're worrying about never happens anyway. It's not even valid. So if
it's
it's
true.
going to happen, it's going to happen. So just let go.
I love that. There's a module in one of my courses that I teach about the secret to less worry, which is simply putting your attention on what you really want. And I
Yeah.
say simply because it is simple, which doesn't mean it's easy. It
Yes.
just means it's simple.
It's like the breathing. It's simple. The tools are there. We have to breathe anyway. So why not make it focused and intentional and let it heal us? But we don't. And we get so caught up in that short, rapid breath where it's telling the brain, yes, you're in danger, because we're
That's
not
it.
the time to breathe. Yeah.
Yes, that's it. You just named it. And so sometimes we can create our own stress responses because we forget to breathe. Or, it's a cycle. It's hard to say which comes first, the not breathing or the stress, but they're definitely hand in glove.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm so happy that you've come to find this work, because to me, this is the most important work there is, I think. Just helping people feel into their, to be their full present selves, here to achieve what they're here to achieve. Fear was a main blocker for me for
Mhm.
so many years. And a part of it is probably that people pleasing and doing what's expected of you. I know a lot of, especially women, suffer with that. But for me, it was also getting stuck in indecision. I didn't want to make the wrong choice. And, it
Mhm.
blocked me for so long when, I just realized you just have to get started. You just have to move. And as soon as you move, things become clear and they loosen up. But it's really, like you said, that fight, flight, fear, and freeze.
And fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that. I'd never heard that fun one. And it's so true. I mean, that's a massive thing.
Mhm.
It deserves to be in there.
Yeah. And it's fairly new research, and it's coming from the trauma world, because they're seeing this, especially in narcissistic abuse. And I'm not a therapist, and I'm not a mental health professional, but I work with a lot of mental health professionals and have support for my clients with mental health professionals. So that is there. Um, there was something that you said that I was like, oh, ding, ding, ding. What was it? Oh, I remember. It was about your fear. And I think that for me, I'd be curious to hear what your take is on it. For me, there's always just a little fear before I go do the new thing.
Oh, yeah. Yes. And that's right. It's not that the fear goes away. That's the important thing as well. I mean, it's different. It's like, there's a fear of being a bit uncomfortable and doing something new, just like, starting a new job, even though it's something that is really meant for you. There's always going to be a bit of discomfort in something which is new. But
Mhm.
there's also that anxiety or just that dread, that when
Mhm.
something is not aligned, or because you're not making a right decision. So yes, I agree. It doesn't mean that the fear necessarily goes away. It just means, like the definition of courage, it's not in the absence of fear, it's just doing it
Mhm.
anyway. Yeah.
And I do think our nervous systems can expand to
Mm,
tolerate more before they
mm,
even get into a stress. I know for me, my my own nervous system has expanded so that the fear comes later, so that my capacity has increased. And that's been really, it's honestly been fun and hard, but
yeah.
mostly fun to watch and create that expansion through the healing work that I've done. And then I'm seeing it happen for my clients too, where their nervous system capacity is really growing. And
Yeah.
a lot of it is coming through the breath work. So it's been really rewarding.
That's amazing. And that we can do that. We can expand our capacity. I mean,
Mhm.
we're so malleable, and I see it just like when you go to the gym and you're going to be lifting weights, it's uncomfortable and it's hurts a bit and stuff, but we're getting stronger. We're
Mhm.
strengthening, using our muscles and strengthening them. And it's a lot of the time with these sort of things as well. It's just doing these things and strengthening. It's going to be a bit uncomfortable, but we're making ourselves better.
Yes. And learning to tolerate discomfort
Yeah.
is a big one. And, it doesn't have to be uncomfortable forever,
Yeah.
but
And
I think, yeah.
and what's uncomfortable now, in a month from now will not. I mean, and that's the thing where we're constantly expanding, we're doing new things, and new things are always going to be a little bit nerve-wracking sometimes, or make us feel a bit uncomfortable, but do it anyway, and a couple of weeks time you come to do it again and it's fine. That's what we're here for. We're here to grow and evolve. We're not here to stay in the same place. And that's where, I heard it said that that's really the definition. You think of depression, and what's the opposite of depression, and you'd think it would be happiness, but it's really growth. That's what is like the antidote to depression, is to grow and evolve, because that's really what we're designed to do, isn't it? Just to keep evolving and growing.
And needing purpose too.
Yeah.
I think that is really important, to need a purpose and to feel heard. And
yeah. And that's, for me, I think that fear and anxiety and worrying something bad would happen, if I made the wrong choice, and that sort of thing, which comes back from that childhood trauma, that's kept me stuck from finding and really living my full purpose for so long. So I think it's crucial to really stepping into what we're here to do in our lives, is to work with this. Yeah.
And I have a thought on making wrong choices. My perspective is there's no such thing as a wrong choice, because if we don't allow ourselves to change our minds after trying something, we don't try new things. Yeah, we don't know. And we won't know if we like it until we try it. And so there has to be some grace and opportunity given to change our minds. And so there's not really any such thing as a mistake, as much as I changed my mind on how I'm going to approach that, or I changed my mind and that's not going to be a fit for me. And that feels a little bit more empowering.
It's so true. But to be honest, to get to that place, you have to be in a certain place of worth as well. And I think for a lot of my life, I didn't really feel like I could change my mind, or I was worthy. I had a lot of worthiness issues growing up as well. And I didn't think I could take up that space and to change my mind and to mess people about, I said I want to do this and now I don't want to. I can't have my voice to say, no, actually, that's not what I want now. It's all part and parcel, isn't it? And I think for so many of us, it's so tied up. So I think just starting with the breath and taking the oxygen, which is here for us on this earth, and the worthiness to breathe and to take the time to breathe fully. It all starts from there, doesn't it? And from, on a very basic level, from when we come onto this earth and we take our first breath, it's almost like we have to go back to that and take our breath. And from there, we unravel this, people pleasing, this taking on other people's emotions, and just get to be us.
When I start working with somebody, the first thing I have them do is they have to go to the bathroom every time they have to go.
Yes.
Because
great.
So many times we don't go, I'll wait until this thing is complete, or until this meeting is over, or until I'm done chopping the onions that I'm the only one chopping. We make ourselves wait. And there's something really magical about recognizing a very human need and then going to take care of that need, that is really empowering if we have forgotten our worth, or forgotten that, we can make choices about our lives.
Oh, that's such a good one, because I'm terrible at that too. I'll just keep going, and then I'm like, then have to run. And it's like, why didn't I just go when I first needed to go? I am so, so happy that you're doing this work in the world, because it's so needed more than anything else. I think this is so crucial to young and older, and it's taken me it was probably until I had my children, which was in my late 30s, that I kind of helped myself heal from a lot of this stuff as well. And I think just by raising them and seeing them try things out and maybe fail or not be good at the beginning, but to keep trying. And I sort of did that with myself as well. And so it's really a beautiful process. And Yeah. And here I am. I'm in my late 40s, but I feel like really everything is just beginning. I
Oh,
think a lot
yeah.
of us are like that. I love getting older,
It's awesome. I turned 50 in February and
Oh,
I love it. It is awesome.
yeah, I'm the same. Well, so you see, and we still look quite young, I must say. I would
Mhm.
never have picked you. I thought you were like 35 or something. So isn't that interesting? No, it's
Thank
really
you.
true. We really are in our power, I think.
Mhm.
We've been through a lot. We come out the other side and we're here to help
Mhm.
others, to heal and to really live the life they're here for. So I'd just like to tap into what led you from having that music degree and having that real life in music, which must just be pure joy as well. Going back to your podcast title, The Waves of Joy, I can
Mhm.
imagine just in that music world, that really is joy.
Oh, it was absolutely joy filled. I loved it. The thing that was becoming really difficult for me was watching the amount of suffering that the children I was working with were having. And I was aware that a lot of it was coming because they were in homes where the mothers were suffering. And there is a direct link between the wellness, the mental wellness and well-being of a child to its mother's mental wellness and well-being.
Yeah,
And so I realized that I wanted to help in a bigger way.
yeah,
And so I've had my business open for the past almost 8 years. And I've done it really part-time, but in August of 2022, I just took my hands off the wheel and said, okay, if this is what I'm supposed to do, help me do it. And I resigned from teaching and went full time.
how amazing. And that is such a brilliant point because a big passion of mine, like I say, is helping children learn these tools and really have that self acceptance and that emotional well being. But I've also focused a lot on the parents because I think the mother is really the one and father as well, but particularly to have a happy mother, is everything to a child, I think. And I think
Oh,
that was
yeah.
partly why I waited till it was kind of circumstances, but also I'm so glad that I had children later in life. My first daughter I had at 35. And I think, gosh, if I was a 20-year-old mother, I don't know what kind of parent I would have been in my own mindset and how I was and quite trapped in that sense of lack of self-worth. That would have
Hmm.
really been teaching her a lot of really unhelpful things. So
Well,
yeah.
your point is well taken. I felt like when my daughter was born, she's 21.
Mm,
And when she was born, I just had this recognition that she was so much like me. She looks like me, she acts like me, she does things like me. And if there was any part of myself that I didn't love completely, she would know it and feel as though I didn't love her. And
yeah.
so I began my own self love journey, mostly to protect my daughter.
Yeah.
And
Isn't
the
it ironic?
benefit, it's so ironic. And so, I think that she obviously is a beneficiary of it, but I am too, because I'm
Yeah.
living a life that makes me really happy.
Yeah. And it exudes from you. You're radiant and you're beautiful and you're just
Mm,
a
thank you.
poster child of someone who is living their purpose and doing what the world needs most, in my opinion. I mean, everything's perfect. And I think I needed to go through that journey as a child to come out the other side and really see that contrast. And so nothing goes to waste, but I really am so grateful to you for doing this work and for teaching these tools, which I can pass on as well to my children and to people I come in contact with who are struggling. It's really the
Mm,
gift which keeps on giving. So once just one of us steps into that real calling as you did, it benefits the entire world. I'm such a believer of that. And this is what will change the world. This is what will change the world when each of us, one at a time, follows
yes,
that call.
I totally agree. Totally agree. And I always say healing heals forward.
Yeah. Oh, it so does. And I've got goosebumps. I mean, I'm so passionate about it. And I'm so glad amazing lit up women like you are doing this. So what an
Thank you.
absolute gift to be with you today. Thank you so much for being with me and for sharing your knowledge and your tools, because they've made a huge difference just for me, let alone whoever else might hear them on the podcast. So Brenda, I absolutely love all the amazing work that you do in the world, and I really want this to spread wide and far. So please let our listeners know where they can find you, how they can work with you, and also about your podcast, because I know that's such a good way for people to really get a feel for you.
Thank you. So the hub of everything is brendawinkle.com. That's the website. I'm most active on Instagram at Brenda Winkle. And the podcast is Waves of Joy. It's available wherever you get your podcasts. And it's also available on my website if you need just a streaming website, which I know that sometimes people enjoy.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm most excited about right now is my signature offer is called Yes Academy. And it is a 6-month coaching container that's really designed to help people support their nervous systems, healing those nervous systems, expanding capacity, designed to help people set boundaries in safe containers with practicing scripts and dyads where we can practice against one another and really get good at it, and learning how to protect their energy. And so as a part of that launch, I'm offering all kinds of free courses on energy and a 5-day yes to me journey where people can really practice saying yes to themselves. And it will happen in April. And the links are all on my website.
And we'll share all the links in the show notes below. And do you do one-on-one work with people as well?
I do offer private one-on-one coaching.
Yeah.
And I offer in packages of 1 month up to 3 months.
Yeah.
And also offer retreats.
Wow.
And I'm just coming off of one like 2 days ago, and I don't have the next one scheduled yet, but I'm targeting July.
Oh, how wonderful. Well, no wonder you're so radiant. I can feel the blissful energy from that. So we'll share all these links in the show notes. Hopefully we'll talk to you again soon. I'd love to have you on again to go a bit deeper in some others of this. So
thank you for having me, Lydia. I've loved this conversation. I love your energy.
Bye.
Bye.
Wasn't that so good? Brenda is such a radiant light and is doing such important work in the world. I wish there were coaches doing this work when I was growing up and struggling as a perfectionist, people pleaser, and empath. The exercises she shared are so beneficial. I'll definitely be adding them to my toolbox. And I'll also be putting them in a separate podcast episode if you want to come back to them. And please share either of these episodes with anyone you think might find them helpful. As always, thank you so much for listening. And if you want to support the podcast further, please consider subscribing or leaving a review, because this helps us so much. Thank you again and have a great week.